Alrighty, it is time once again for another Wrong Turn review, and this one, being Wrong Turn 4, this is the fourth video in this series. This film, I've kind of got a lot to say about it, and it's just like I said with Wrong Turn 2, this one will always kind of hold a special place in my heart for reasons that I'll get into in just a moment. I know a lot of folks don't really care for this one, but like I said, to me, I really enjoy this one. It's one that I love to sit down and watch, even though it has all of its problems, or all the problems that it does have. And again, I'll get into that in just a little bit. But this movie came out in 2011. It was directed once again by Declan O'Brien. He also directed Wrong Turn 3. He did not write Wrong Turn 3, I don't think, but he wrote this one. So he wrote and directed this. And this one stars Jenny Pudovic, Tanika Davis, Caitlin Wong, and Tara Vanessa. And, excuse me, and I apologize. Gotta clear my throat. And the mutants, or the cannibal family, they're played by Sean Skeen as Three Finger, Scott Johnson as Sawtooth, and Daniel Skeen as One Eye. So we do get the original three cannibals from the first film. I like that. That's the first time that we're really coming back, to that group of the Cannibal Hillbilly family. And because this one, as you can tell by the title, Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings, this is a prequel. And I was really, really excited to see this, whenever it came out. I remember hearing about it, hearing it get announced, and I was dying to see it. I could not wait to see it. I was pumped. And, like I said just a minute ago, this one kind of has a bit of a special place in my heart just because, and I'll get into my personal history with it, is I remember when this very first came out, and this is the DVD I've had since it came out. Like, I got this when it very, very first came out. Many, many years ago in 2011. And my mother actually bought this for me. And the reason why this one I think is so special to me is just because I remember I was still in school when this came out, and I was very sick. I was not having a good time, and it was winter time when I did get this. And I remember I was sick as hell. I'd been home from school for a few days. And I remember my mom brought this home one morning. I was laid up in bed. I could not, I was not feeling good at all. And she came in. She's like, "I got this for you because I knew you'd been wanting to see it, And I was so excited. So the first thing I did was I put this in, and I just laid up in bed, and I sat and watched the whole thing. And when I very first watched it, I really didn't care for it too much, but just I thought it was kind of silly, especially because the series was kind of going in a little bit of a goofy direction, especially after part 2. But again, now looking back on it, I don't mind that near as much. I just appreciate them for what they are. And this one, when I watched it, it was wintertime. It was snowing outside. I remember, it was, and it doesn't snow very often here where I live. But I remember it was snowing outside, and it was just the perfect time to watch this movie. I really think that had a lot to do with it. And, at the time, like I said, I didn't care for it too much. There were things I did like. There were things I didn't like. But, and it's still, I still have some of the same kind of similar complaints. But I still appreciate it for what it is. And I really do enjoy this movie. Every time I put it on, it's a great time. I have a lot of fun with it, despite all of its issues. But I'll just kind of get into the plot a little bit. Again, I'm not going to spoil too much, but this movie starts out. Usually I skip the beginning kind of thing going on. I don't want to give the whole movie away, but this one starts out in an asylum. Basically out in the middle of nowhere. And we have our three cannibals. We have Three Finger, One Eye, and Sawtooth. And they are locked up in a cell. And they basically, they escape and just wreak havoc on this asylum. And, they break everyone out. Everyone is killing all the orderlies and nurses and things like that. And it's just a complete shit show, at the very beginning of this movie. And I really love the way it starts. It's just crazy and just balls to the wall. I was really happy to see the original three cannibal, mutant guys return. I really enjoyed seeing that. But even though they are played by different people, even Three Finger from the last film, in Wrong Turn 3, he's a different person in this one. But it's kind of going back to its roots, and I like how to see that we get a little bit of backstory on them. Them being in the asylum. And we hear a little bit about their, not much, but we get a little bit of their backstory in this movie. Not too much at all. But then we kind of fast forward. There's this group of friends. I think there's 5 or 6 of them, if I'm not mistaken. And they're going to go on a snowmobile trip, basically, and they're just kind of out, wherever they are, and they're riding their snowmobiles and just having a good time, and they either, I don't remember if they broke down or really what's going on, but they come up on this giant, abandoned asylum, and they decide to stop and spend the night there. And it just kind of starts, they're just kind of screwing around in the asylum, checking things out, going through old patient files. They're drinking, getting stoned, just kind of hanging out, doing their thing, having a great time. It actually looks like a lot of fun, to have just free range of this place like they do. And, they're just doing what they do. And then, of course, our 3 cannibals come out and start wreaking havoc on them and picking them off. And it just kind of goes from there. And again, I don't want to give away too much, but that is kind of the basic plot of what's happening. They're just kind of hunting them in this asylum. And this movie, it starts off, I guess, kind of slow in a way. Like, it takes a little while before we really get to the kills in this movie, but not really in a bad way. I really like the whole beginning part of this film where they're just kind of screwing around in the asylum and doing their thing. I enjoy that, and we get some really, really interesting and some really gnarly kills in this movie. The first, not the first kill, I'm sorry, one of the first kills that we get on screen is a lot of fun, actually. I really like it. It involves barbed wire and a hanging. And, of course, there is, just like in the last movie, some of the effects do end up getting a little cheesy and a little ridiculous. Like, there is some CGI in this movie that I feel was kind of unnecessary, but at the same time it really kind of fits the vibe of what's going on. And it doesn't really, I think it's just funny. If anything, it kind of makes me laugh. But all the characters are not really very good actors. The acting is not so good and the writing is not so good, so there are some kind of plot points in this movie that are kind of silly, but at the same time, it really doesn't take anything, it doesn't take too much away. It just kind of fits the vibe of what's going on, and all in all, it just turns out, it ends up being just another fairly good Wrong Turn sequel. I know a lot of people don't care for this one too much, but I like it a lot. And I love the setting of this movie. I have a thing about old abandoned buildings, like especially asylums, and I love snow, I love rain, I love that cold kind of atmosphere. So I really like this movie has a really kind of brooding and chilly kind of atmosphere. Like, you really feel it, when you watch this movie. And, I really like that. I like the everything that they've kind of got going on as far as set design in this. The look of the hospital is just gorgeous. It's this huge, big, giant building. And, we don't see all of it, of course, if it's a real place or not, but, we see enough of it. And we get some really good, really good kills, some ridiculous kills in this. Like, again, not to spoil anything, but there's one scene where one of the group, the members of this group are captured, and they're basically cut apart while he's still alive, and they eat him like fondue. Like, one of the characters, like, they're eating him like some kind of fucked up fondue, and they really are. They're taking it and they're dipping it in the oil and then they're eating it. I think that's really funny. It just really cracked me up. But, I could see how, somebody could not like this. And a lot of the characters make some really poor decisions in this movie. Like, there's one scene where they do manage to capture the cannibal trio, and they put them back in their cell, which just coincidentally happens to be their exact cell that they used to be in. I guess they run back there for safety, which I thought that was silly in and of itself, because you know, they absolutely could have taken on these people that were chasing them, but when they lock them in there, you know, it's one of the female characters in this movie. She's like, you know, we can't kill them. You don't want to stoop to their level, blah blah blah. And I'm like, bitch, they literally just murdered everyone in front of you, and they ate a guy alive. You know, like fondue. Like, what do you mean? Like, of course we're going to kill them, you know? So I think that that's really funny. And of course they end up escaping again and going after them again. There's a few scenes where, you know, it's supposed to be a harsh, you know, freezing cold blizzard outside, and they're literally standing outside in like t-shirts and jeans. You know, they're not wearing coats or anything like that. I think that's really funny. And they you know, they don't even seem cold. They don't even really seem bothered by it, you know? And I'm like, if you're able to do that, just walk out of there, you know. And of course there's another character who is out in the snow, and she's practically freezing to death, you know. And so I think that's really funny, you know, that there's some things like that going on, you know. So you know, there are some issues that I have with it, but again, I think it just kind of adds to it. Sorry, my dogs are barking. I think it just kind of adds to some of the charm, but what are they barking at? But anyway, so I think it... Well, they're going crazy. Must be getting something in the mail. But anyway, they... like I said, there are some silly things that happen in this movie, but I don't really think it takes away from it. I think that it really just kind of adds to it, because it's a fun one to... You know, like when I was watching it the other day, me and my wife were watching it and just cracking up, you know, at some of the stupid things that were going on in this movie. We were just having a really good time with it. And, you know, like I said, it's definitely not the best one in the series, but it really holds a special place in my heart, and it's a lot of fun to watch. You know, I will always put it on, you know, if I'm doing a marathon of these movies. It's one that I won't skip, and that I actually always look forward to watching. Just like Wrong Turn 2, I'm always really excited to watch that one. Another thing I'll say about this movie too, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I really like the ending, and I don't like the ending. You know, I don't, you know, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just, I don't know. It's so, like, they try to subvert your expectations, and they really do. You know, I mean, there's a scene where you're like, oh, okay, this is going to happen, and you're like, oh, never mind, no, it's not. But it's just, it's kind of dumb, you know, just the way that they decide to end it. You know, I don't want to complain too much, you know, on that, or I don't want to harp on that too much, but that's kind of, I guess, that's the only thing I can really say is I love and I hate the ending. You know, I don't really, I don't know. As I say, I really feel like they could have done something completely different with it. You know, but all in all, it is still a fun movie to watch. It's goofy. You know, we get some really good kills, a lot of really over the top kills. The cannibals, they look great. You know, all the makeup is really great in this movie, and a lot of the effects, the ones that aren't CGI, you know, the effects are fairly well done. And I think Declan O'Brien did a good job at, I think he did a great job at directing this one, but not so much writing this one. So I guess that's the way that I can say that. But we'll get more into that another time, perhaps. But anyway, you know, as usual, I'm not going to rank this one because, you know, it's, I'm not going to rate it, because I'm going to rank them all at the end whenever I get done doing all these reviews. So... But until next time, you know, this one I could say, you know, you could probably skip it if you really want to, but I recommend watching it, especially if you really like the goofy tone of Wrong Turn 2, 3, or of 2 and 3. This one is a good little follow-up / prequel, you know, to those you know, to all those movies. But yeah, so anyway, that is really all I have to say about this movie. And until next time, I hope you enjoy the video. And next will be Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines. So until next time, have a great day and goodbye.